I'm Dylan Goller, and this is the Dylan Goller Show. You know, if we're talking about individual seasons of a show, this would be one of my frontrunners for greatest season of television of all time. This is Stranger Things 2. After the events of Stranger Things 1, Will Byers finds himself having a strange connection with a being from the Upside Down. It's safe to say that this is my favorite season of the show. I've heard some people say it's the worst season, and there is validity to that argument. There are really high points and really low points. But what this season does is it takes what you liked about the first season, and it just moves along the story. When it comes to a television series, most seasons just do the same ideas and character growth over and over and over throughout the series. Stranger Things 2 is more of a sequel. It does expand on the first season, yes, but it expands upon the lore, it expands upon the story, and it expands upon the characters. Just for time's sake, I'm not going to go through every single character in the show. However, I will talk about a few. And if I don't talk about your favorite character, you can just assume that what I said in my review for the first season still applies here. So, let's get into the characters who I actually have an opinion on in this season. Our first new character is Max, portrayed beautifully by Sadie Sink. She is the same age as Mike, Lucas, and Dustin. She is normally the common denominator in a lot of drama, and for some people, that was a big problem. However, for me, I didn't really care, because she eventually morphed into a character that you ended up wanting more of by the end of the season. Sean Astin plays a character in this season named Bob Newby. He is the boyfriend of Joyce. He was genuinely a nice guy who you liked being around. He wasn't like Jar Jar, where you just wanted him to die immediately and die a very painful death. You liked this character. This was a character that eventually with his fate, you felt hurt by. You want more of this character, and even as we're approaching Stranger Things 5, you still want this character to come back, even though you're not going to. But you want this. You like this character. You loved this character, and you wanted more of him. But it was just amazing, and Sean Astin gave a brilliant performance with him. Steve and Nancy are given their best moments in this season and the entire show. Steve and Dustin's friendship is something that, if you saw it on paper, you would have thought that's really stupid, but in execution, they pulled it off, and it's something that you didn't even know you wanted. Nancy, in the first season, was a character who was just looking for her friend. In this season, she becomes more, as the characters like to joke, she becomes more of Nancy Drew. And, as I said in my other video, in a day where most female characters are just overpowered and or a lecture on misogyny, Nancy is just a character who you like, and she's someone who is very smart, very intelligent, and you enjoy. Will Byers is extremely interesting in this season. He starts out the same way he started the first one, normal and happy. And then he becomes, in some ways, possessed. For all Noah Schnapp, the actor, for all he has to do, he delivers one of the best performances of the entire show in this season. My least favorite part of the season is the subplot with number 8. It's absolutely atrocious. This season really never decided whether or not 11 was part of the Hawkins team. However, I am glad they eventually made better decisions and just retconned number 8 throughout it. It's one of the lowest points of the season and of the entire show, and it's the biggest criticism people have with this season. And if they cut out number 8, this season would have been perfect. Now, for me, the final moments of the finale were disappointing. They really just cut it off before they pay it off. And for some people, this was forgiven in season 3. For me, it was a huge gripe, and it honestly kind of made me mad. But what Stranger Things 2 does so well is follow up the first. Not by redoing it or changing it entirely, but by expanding on the ideas that were presented in the first film and offering new ideas in its place. For example, in the first, Will Byers is stuck in the Upside Down. Now, the normal cliche would have it to be that Will Byers or someone else goes to the Upside Down in his place. Or Will just goes back there for fun. Here, they expand upon it, and they ask the question, and it invites a deeper study into how do you stop the Mind Flayer and the Upside Down as a whole without killing Will. And it's brilliant. Stranger Things 2 also discusses the psychological effects of the first season. Steve and Nancy's relationship takes a big hit after the events of Barb. Mike's loss with 11 talks about how he would interact with Max, and the Byers family, it talks about how they would live their lives after what happened with Will in the first season. This is what makes the show a bright spot. As I said before, it continues the first season, but offers new ideas in its place. What this does is it gives the best character moments of this season, and it makes it better than it would have been without it. But the question Stranger Things 2 poses is, how do we get over our trauma and move on with our lives? How does our life experiences make us stronger and better? And on the flip side, how do they make us weaker and worse? Steve lost everything in season 1, and it led to his friendship with the party. Mike, Lucas, and Dustin had experiences with Eleven that led them to be more open to Max, and Hopper and Joyce became friends after the events of season 1. Maybe it's not our best moments that define us, but maybe it's the worst moments in our lives that mold us the most. So that's me saying I take everything way too seriously. I'm Dylan Goller. Remember to like, subscribe, share, and comment. Keep on geeking on.